Sometimes strabismus surgery does not turn out how you hope it's going to turn out. And that's exactly what happened to me. I had strabismus surgery about 2 months ago, and at first it did not work. But luckily my ophthalmologist used adjustable sutures and he was able to fix it. So first, I'm gonna show you a couple pictures so that you can see where I'm coming from, and then I'm gonna go through the entire process. So if you wanna know exactly what it's like to get your sutures adjusted, including some actual footage that we took while it was happening, keep watching. But brace yourself because there are a couple of pretty nasty looking pictures. So I'll warn you before I put those up. So first I'm gonna show, here's a picture of what I looked like before I had any surgery. So my eye was out, I had exotropia, about 35 degrees. So after the surgery, my eye was actually pretty straight, and my surgeon thought they looked amazing and that I wasn't gonna need any sort of adjustments, which I was super excited about. But by the end of the night, my eye had moved all the way in. So here's a picture of right after the surgery. And here is a picture of what I looked like, I think about 24 hours later. So as you can see, my eye turned way in, and I think that was just my brain having my eyes open and my brain deciding I don't like them to be straight, I'm seeing double, and so my brain turned my eye in. So for a week, I, dealt with it. It was pretty much the worst, but then I went in and had my sutures adjusted. So that was a good thing, right? So when you go in to get your sutures adjusted, you're not going back to the surgery center. You're actually just going to your regular ophthalmologist doctor's office in most cases. So you go in and it's like any normal appointment. They check your vision, see if you can read the letters. They check you for stereo acuity and all the things. They take measurements, and when they did my measurements, they realized, yeah, your eye is 25 diopters in, and we definitely are gonna need to adjust your sutures. So I sat in the chair, leaned back, and my doctor put some eye drops in. So I'm gonna go ahead and show you what that was like.
A second drop in.
Oh.
Stings a little.
It does. I was super nervous for all of this, and so the nervous and anticipation made everything so much worse. Really, the eye drops didn't hurt. It was not a big deal, a tiny little sting. Nothing to worry about. A lot of people compare this to what it's like to go to the dentist's office. They'll say, oh, it's just like going to the dentist. They numb you and you don't feel anything. But I thought it was worse than going to the dentist personally. But maybe for some people it's not as big of a deal. But the numbing part is similar though. They numb you so you don't feel anything, and then instead of propping your teeth open, they prop your eyeball open with a retractor. So I was so terrified about the retractor. I guess I had envisioned this huge big old piece of equipment, and that it was gonna be prying my eyeball way open. So I was pleasantly surprised that it was a tiny little thing. I didn't even feel it. I maybe felt a tiny pull, but it didn't bother me whatsoever. Here's the video of what that was like.
Okay, here comes the retractor. This will feel strange. You'll definitely feel some pressure on your eyes from this. There we go.
Not as bad as I thought.
Good. Now, I'm going to have you look toward me, and I do reopen that incision just because I need to get to where those sutures are. If you feel something sharp, tell me.
I feel a little like it's poking me a little bit.
You're doing great though. Now look down towards your shoulder a little bit. Yes. That is the right spot. Okay, very nice.
So as you can see from that video, he dug right in. He got that retractor in, and because the numbing eye drops only last for about 20 minutes, he wanted to get right down to business. So he just started cutting me open, and at this point, I was pretty scared. I didn't know what to expect. I wasn't really feeling anything except for some pressure. I could feel the tugging, and that was really bothering me and just making me, I wasn't breathing. If you look at the video, I'm just like holding my breath and super, super tense. I'm gonna show you like 3 seconds of the worst of it when he was really like deep inside my eyeball. So close your eyes and count to 10 starting now. So, as you can see, he was super deep inside my eyeball, which is super gross. And at this point, I started really not doing very well. I don't know what it was, because honestly, like, I was just sitting there. It wasn't that bad. I was like, okay, it's gonna be over. This is worth it. But my body started having a reaction to somebody cutting into my eye. And I couldn't stop it. I was like trying to take deep breaths. And finally I said, all right, Dr. Peterson, I'm gonna pass out. And he's like, are you sure? I'm like, yeah, I can feel it happening. This has happened before. And I could feel it kind of bubbling up from my toes. And I realized, yeah, I'm gonna pass out. So he laid me all the way down, had me take off my mask, stopped cutting, and just gave me a few minutes to just recalibrate, regroup, I guess. And so then he started going again after I was like, okay, I'm fine. I'm totally fine. It's all passed. I'm good. And then he started cutting again, and immediately my body just went back to that same mode. It felt like sounded like I was going underwater, and I was like, nope, I'm gonna pass out again. This just isn't gonna work. And so we were kind of stuck in this limbo of like, okay, now what? Like, we can't keep going. I'm like, well, can you just let me pass out and then do it? And he said no, because I need to hold my eyes still, and when you're passed out, you can move your eyes around. So my mom had the great idea. She got her iPad out and turned on The Office, which is hilarious, like my favorite show ever. And so at that point, as soon as she turned on The Office, like I still could feel myself like coming in and out, but as soon as something funny happened and I laughed, then all of the angst went away and I relaxed. And I think it was probably helping me breathe. And so that's how I got through it, is listening to The Office, and laying way back and not wearing a mask. And it finally ended. So here's a clip of what it was like after he was done and he was stitching me back up.
Josh?
Our CFO believes that Josh is going to play an important role in our company's future.
Oh, really? What role is that? King of the stupid universe? Don't.
I
Do
think
this, Josh.
we're finished, and I need to
We are
go.
done.
I would.
So after we had The Office going, it was a lot better. I was able to laugh, and that made me relax, and I was able to get through the whole thing. And we checked measurements, and my eyes were looking a lot better than they were before. So it was a total success. And even though I would call that like 45 minutes of torture, because I seriously hated it. It was awful. I would never want to do that again. I would do it again 1,000,000 times, because check out how well my eyes were aligned after they adjusted the sutures. So as you can see, after my sutures were adjusted, my eyes looked so much more straight, and now they've healed straight. So even though it was the worst torture of all time, it was 1,000,000 times worth it, and I would totally do it again. If you want to know more about what it's like and have more details about each step of the process, you can go check it out on my blog at lazeyeyesolutions.com/sutures.